All right, I have a lot to do today. I got to get out there and work on that 93 F-250 diesel again. It's got a fuel leak in it. Okay. I think the problem with my fuel system is the guy I have working on it, me. So I got to get out there and do that. Got a few more things around the home place I try to get finished up on today, or maybe even some of them just get them started. So I'm probably not going to be online much today. But uh, I've been meaning to say some things about this meme right here. This Andy guy posted yesterday. So I figured he and I well, we didn't have a conversation. We didn't. He made some claims. When I responded to him, he started doing the feminine thing of backpedaling and sidestepping and that sort of stuff. But this meme right here, all because of words, and it has Honest Abe, Not So Honest Abe, JFK, MLK, Charlie Kirk, and Jesus Christ on it. And it doesn't say it outright, but the implication, as far as I can tell, is that they were all killed all because of words. Look, I've said in several of my videos since Charlie Kirk was assassinated that I like Charlie Kirk. I watched some of his content. I watched a lot of his content back when he first came on the scene back in 2012 or 2013 or somewhere around there. I know a lot of the people today who are Charlie Kirk fans, or at least now that he's been assassinated, they're saying that they are his fans. I know a lot of them probably were not around back then. A lot of them, I think, probably weren't around until the last few days, unfortunately. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's not a hill I'm willing to die on. But I just know that a lot of the people, especially ones that I know personally, who are talking about what a great man Charlie Kirk was and the great work he did and how we need more Charlie Kirks and all of this, that, and the third, prior to Charlie getting shot, I never heard him in conversation or anything say anything about Charlie Kirk or even about the things that Charlie Kirk debated about or the principles that he held. I mean, I didn't hear him say anything about it. I didn't see him post it on the internet, on social media, or anything. Yeah, I just didn't see it as really a topic of their conversations at all. And as a matter of fact, often they would give me scorn to one degree or another. I mean, not always hostility or sometimes teasingly, but they would give me scorn when I would talk about some of the things. You know, they would tell me that I'm just always negative and I'm just always wanting to fight with somebody. You know, all this, that, and the other. You know. But then Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and suddenly it seems to me, I'm just telling you what I think about it. All right, I'm not saying this is the stone cold absolute truth. I'm just saying this is how it seems to me. Okay, and I'm wide open for someone to engage with me and show me how that's incorrect. But now, if you come to me telling me it's incorrect because you feel this way or you feel that way, I don't want to hear none of that. But if you can come to me and explain to me how I'm incorrect from an objective, logical way, hey, I would like for you to, because it would really help my feelings for me to know that these people who are, you know, so up in the air about Charlie Kirk and talking about what a great guy he is, actually were familiar with him and his content and his work and his life and such prior to him being assassinated. I just know that I didn't see very much evidence in the lives of the people around me that that was the case before he was assassinated. So I'm just suspicious. You know, I'm just looking at what I see and I'm drawing conclusions from it. They may not be correct. And if they're not, I would love for someone to engage with me with objective logic and explain to me how that's not the case. So, this meme here, all because of words. This meme, as emotionally positive as it might feel when you read it, is untrue. And I know people probably get sick and tired of hearing me harping on the feminine and the masculine mindsets in our culture, but I'm not making this up. So, and this is an example of it. I'm not making this up. A couple of people have told me over the last couple of weeks, well, really the last week probably, well, Dane, anybody who doesn't agree with you, you call them feminine. Everybody who agrees with you, you call them masculine. as if when I tell someone that they sound like, a woman, or they're, thinking in the feminine, or something they say was a very feminine remark, as if I've crafted that into some sort of an insult. For me to think that telling someone they're feminine, or they're a feminine thinker, or what they said sounded very feminine, for me to think that that was an insult, I would have to first believe that there was something bad or wrong or immoral or undesirable about femininity or about being a woman. I don't. I don't think there's anything wrong with femininity. I don't think that. I love women, man. Women are great. I mean, they are like the decorations that help men get through the grueling life that we live. Hey, look, I've been married to a woman for 34 years. This past April, 34 years. Okay. I love women. I'm not one of these people going around, trying to, mistreat women, use women, abuse women. But the facts are the facts that men and women are different. We're built different biologically. We're built different psychologically. We're built different emotionally. Well, some women think like this, dang, I know. And when those women are thinking like that, they're thinking in a very masculine way. Okay? Like there are women who can think logically. There are women who can focus on and understand things objectively rather than emotionally. When those women do that, they are thinking very masculinely. Okay? I have a handful of female friends who can do that, and we have conversations. And when they say, well, dang, that doesn't make sense, if I'm telling them something that some progressive or leftist or feminist or whatever believes or says, and they say to me, well, dang, that doesn't make sense because, and then they roll out what is logically objective. I'm well known for telling them, yeah, but you think like a man. You got to stop thinking like a man like that, or other women are not going to like you, which is true. So, I mean, some women can't think logically, but when they do that, they're thinking in a masculine way. And men who think and understand their reality through the lens of their emotions, they're thinking and understanding and perceiving. And when they communicate it emotionally, they're communicating it very femininely. I'm not trying to insult the guys. Although once they do get past a certain point of being a feminine acting man or feminine thinking man, I eventually do get a little irritated and have a hard time maintaining my respect for them as a man. But I'm not trying to insult them when I say, oh, you're thinking like a feminine person. That's feminine minded. That's a feminine statement. That's a feminine understanding. I'm not insulting them. It's not like I'm trying to call them a sissy or gay or, make fun of them, or I'm not. I'm just describing them. In my mind, it's no different than me telling them they're short, they're tall, whatever. It's a descriptor. Well, this meme, all because of words, it has the feminine understanding, the feminine mind dripping from it. The only thing that qualifies that statement as being anywhere close to believable or close to true is that all 5 of those people were killed. All 5 of those people were killed in some sort of a political, religious, ideological framework. That's it. But just because a person was killed or assassinated or whatever because of things that they believed or because it was within the framework of some ideology, that doesn't mean the reason they were killed was because of things that they said from the framework and perspective of free speech. That's just not true. But people can look at it and they can see all of these famous people who were heroes or even are heroes posthumously to them, and they see them all lumped together and it gives them a warm, fuzzy feeling. So they accept the message as being true. See, so the meme stimulates their feelings, it gives them positive feelings. So they embrace it and they say, oh, well, that's true. And then they'll repeat it. See, that is what's very feminine about that logical process in their head. They don't stop and think, well, why was Abe killed? Why was JFK killed? Why was MLK killed? They don't go through all of that and then compare the reasons and contrast them and do some considering of it all and then arrive at their conclusion. They look at it, they read it, it gives them the warm fuzzies, they accept it and they move on. You say, God doesn't, you're not going to die if you eat of this fruit. It's just that God is so much smarter than you and he's in control and everything. And he knows if you eat this fruit, you'll have the knowledge of good and evil and then you'll be like God. If you eat of this fruit, you'll be like God. And the woman looked and she saw that it was beautiful and good to eat, so she ate of it. You see, all of that was Satan manipulating the woman's emotions. She looks at the apple, she has an emotional response. It was beautiful and good to eat. How did she know it was good to eat? It was beautiful and it was good to eat, and she ate of it. So she had arrived at the conclusion that it was good to eat before she'd ever eaten it. Her belief that it was good to eat was all based on that she looked at it and saw it was beautiful. She didn't see anything wrong with it, so she ate of it, you see. And that's what this meme here, in a sense, is. It's a sort of an archetype of that. People look at it, and they see that it's beautiful to read and feel and believe, so they read and they believe it, even though it's not true. It's just not true. And look, before you come for me, I'm not trying to besmirch Charlie Kirk at all. I'm not trying to besmirch any of these people. I'm just saying this means that all 5 of these men were killed all because of words. It's just not true. And it's paramount importance that when we communicate things, especially in a political, ideological framework like this, it is very important that we communicate the truth. Whether we like what the truth is or not, we need to speak what is true, and we need to speak out against what is untrue. Even when speaking out against what is untrue is speaking out against people on our side of the fence. See, even when it means policing people who are to one degree or another allies or involved in advancing our cause, even when they say things that are incorrect or untrue, we still need to call them out and we say, hey, that's not true. You might not want to say that. That's not very wise. You're going to mislead people. And if what you're saying is untrue in any way gives credit or merit to our ideological enemies, then your desire or your willingness to make people feel good with a lie, it ends up helping the other side. We speak the truth in season and out of season. Even when the truth costs you something, speak the truth. That's the bottom line. So that's what I told this guy. I don't even know who this guy is. He's somebody on my friends list. I don't know how he ended up there. I've said before, I actually know very few people on my Facebook friends list. I know very few of them personally. So I just told the guy, not true at all. So he asked me, in which case? Okay, so he asked me a question. So I said, all of them besides Charlie Kirk. And I'm betting that he wasn't killed because of what he was saying. And I'm still not convinced that he was. The jury is still out on that. I'll be making some more videos about that. But again, I have to go work on my truck today, out there in the driveway, do some man work. So his response, he begins making more feminine responses. And when I say they're feminine, I'm not saying he's making stupid remarks. He's making idiotic remarks. He's making, when I say he's making feminine remarks, I'm not trying to insult him or his remarks. I'm saying the thought process behind his statements is a feminine thought process. It's an emotional-based process. That's what I'm saying. So he posts another meme. When your understanding of your reality comes from memeology, and when you can only present and think that you can defend your ideological positions by posting more internet memes, that's a huge problem. So he posts this meme, which I had also seen, the two halves of MLK's face and Charlie Kirk's face together, as if there's anything on God's green earth in common with the two of these men. I don't know that there is, beyond the biology that they were both men. But yeah, so he says that, and then he makes this absurd claim that, there is no difference. I should have just said, well, this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about, so just go on about your business, Dane. But that's kind of like asking me to pass up an all-you-can-eat buffet. I just about can't do it. Click the wrong button. I just about can't do it. So there's the rest of it. And so I said, okay, well, this guy, maybe I can teach him something. Why I thought that, I do not know. I should have just said, bless his heart and move on. But I thought, maybe I can teach him something. Maybe I can help him out. Sometimes it happens. It's not often, but sometimes it happens. So there's, I went through and I explained to him that, I said, that's no doubt the dumbest and most uninformed statement I've heard in a long time. King wasn't killed for words. He wasn't. King was not killed because of his words. See, people who believe that on any level, it's because they've seen what the news said in the documentaries, in the movies, and all that kind of stuff. And they've been taught about MLK in their public school classrooms. And stop and think about that for a minute. How much time do you get in a public school history class? Let's say you take American history for 1 year. And you're in school for, 180 days? And if the class lasts an hour, then the teacher probably at best gets 40 minutes of instructional time? So that's 40 minutes of instructional time 180 times. And in that time span, that teacher is supposed to cover from the colonial days up until, I'm guessing, the 60s or 70s, maybe the early 2000s. So how much time would that teacher have had to spend covering the civil rights movement and Dr. King's person, his history, his life, his work? Not very much. A few minutes. One class. Let's say she spent a whole week on Dr. King. 5 classes. So that's 3 or 4 hours? I mean, it's just that's what people base their understanding of King on. And let's say they take a world history class in high school for a year. It's about the same amount of time. So how much time does that teacher have in the course of a school year to make sure that her students really have a good understanding of what Marxism is and what it is not, and how to recognize it? I mean, it's absurd for most people to say that they understand who MLK was and what his history was and what his work was and what his ideology was. The only thing most people know is the I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial, the march at Selma, the time he got arrested and wrote the letters from a Birmingham jail or whatever it was. The Montgomery bus boycott. They believe he was a Christian. He didn't believe in the resurrection. He didn't believe in hell. I mean, he didn't believe in the Trinity. I mean, if you read or watch, if it's on video, his sermons, he doesn't preach about sin. He doesn't preach about repentance. He doesn't preach about Jesus. But people talk about how he was a Christian pastor. I mean, it could be argued based on their sermons and writings about the faith. It could successfully be argued that Martin Luther King Jr. was no more a Christian pastor than Joel Osteen. If anything, less of a Christian pastor. But when you study the history and how his father was a Marxist, how his father raised him up as a Marxist. MLK wasn't even born Martin Luther King. He was born Michael King Jr. When Michael King Sr. learned about Martin Luther, the Protestant reformer, and how much effect that had on Europe in steering their society, he became an admirer, changed his name, changed his young son's name. And Michael King Sr., who had become Martin Luther King Sr., he saw himself as doing in the political realm what Martin Luther had done in the religious realm. The only thing he was wrong about was it ended up in large part being his son, Martin Luther King Jr., who accomplished that work. But the civil rights movement became a vehicle for them to recruit Black Americans into Marxism, because MLK Sr. and MLK Jr. were both Marxist. Yeah. So if you don't believe me, don't believe me. I know I'm a white guy, so you're just going to be like, oh, of course you would say that. You're just a racist, blah, 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 blah. Okay? You go read his sermons. You go listen to his sermons. I mean, you've got Google. A lot of you people want to argue with me sometimes, and when I try to engage with you, you start posting Google links. So a lot of y'all are very, very avid students of the University of Google. So, I mean, look it up. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Many of you already take the word of other people at face value. So don't do that. Go look it up. But there is next to nothing in common with Martin Luther King Jr. and Charlie Kirk. So I went through and explained that to this dude. You know, like I said right there, the FBI literally bugged a hotel room when MLK and a lot of his entourage hired a couple of hookers. And when the hookers showed up, they saw that there were all these guys that they were going to have to do services for. They were like, nope, I'm out. And the guy said, no, you're not. And they assaulted them while the FBI was listening and recording. But this meme is saying that, and this dude, whoever in the hell he is saying MLK and Charlie Kirk, that there's nothing different about them. Ray Charles can see that ain't true. I mean, you know, Dr. King had a drug addict, had a drug addiction. He was nowhere near to a faithful husband to Coretta Scott King. I mean, and when he was doing his marches, I just learned this recently, folks. Okay. So this is not like something that, you know, I've known for 30 years. I mean, anyone who knows me can tell you that I'm like a lifelong learner. I'm just an avid learner. You know, I like learning new things like most men in my demographic, rednecks, like catching another bass or mounting another deer head on the wall. See, that's kind of how I am. So I always thought that when I saw these pictures, these black and white pictures in the history books of fire hoses and police dogs and civil rights marchers, like on the bridge in Selma and that sort of stuff, that this was just the white people in town didn't like the civil rights movement, didn't like the marchers, so they were just abusing them. I learned just a few months ago that the reality is that the marchers refused to even apply for a parade permit. Okay? They could have gathered up in a park somewhere like they did on the Washington Mall and had their speech. But in order for a parade permit, The police would need to block off different intersections. They'd have to have traffic control. They'd have to be able to reroute traffic around the parade. They'd have to have police out there to address any sort of an outburst of violence and that sort of thing, you know. And MLK and his people, they refused to do that. Why? They wanted the optics. So they would just show up just like we were dealing with a few years ago when Antifa and Black Lives Matter would just show up and block off major thoroughfares in order to get the news out and make them look like victims. So when that happened, okay, the police are like, y'all need to get out of the street. You're blocking traffic. Somebody's going to get run over. And they just kept on marching. So they had to clear the streets. And they did that fairly brutally. I'm not excusing turning police dogs loose on people to get them out of the street. I'm not explaining hitting them with fire hoses with so much water pressure that it would blow their clothes off and blow them right out of their shoes. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, well, then it's okay to let a German Shepherd chew on them. What I am saying is that the way that those black and white pictures are presented to us as if that was just the police attacking peaceful protesters is not true. Okay, it's not true. They were doing the same thing that that BLM and Antifa were doing a few years ago. That so many of y'all, black, white, yellow, green, orange, or purple, doesn't matter with you, that I've heard so many of y'all complain about. Man, let me be coming down the interstate. They're out there in the middle of the interstate. Man, I'm running over them. That's what folks like that say. I bet you I can get through that crowd. I'm running over them. Well, that's what MLK was doing in Selma and other cities. They were just blocking traffic. They refused to get a parade permit. I mean, that's just the truth. So then I told him, I said, and I'm anxious to hear you come up with one valid correlation between these ideologies and work of these two men. You know, I said, hey, I'm up for the conversation. So I'm happy to see you come up with one valid correlation. If you've been reading my posts any amount of time at all, or you've been watching any of my videos, you've heard me explain before what the weapons of violence are that are used by women and feminized men. Okay. Kevin Samuels, the Godfather, R.I.P., he boiled it down to what he called sign language, an acronym, SIGN. He said that women use shame, insult, and guilt, SIG, to defend their need to be right. Shame, insult, and guilt to defend their need to be right. They don't use logic and objective evidence to show that they are indeed correct. But when they're faced with having to defend their claims, they'll turn around and they'll try to use shame against you to say you're a bad person for holding that position, or you're a bad person for challenging them. Or they'll insult you, well, you just a sissy. Well, you just broke. You ain't got no money. That's why you acting like that. Well, you just can't get no woman. That's why you acting like that. They want to insult you. Or they'll use guilt. You must not love your mama. Do you love your mama? Do you have a daughter? Oh, God, I'd hate to be your wife. I feel sorry for your wife. Deidre Snyder, my beautiful bride. She's a little mean, but she's my beautiful bride. Has literally had 3 or 4 cracked women, cracked in the head. I'm not saying crackhead, but cracked in the head women message her through Facebook, seriously asking her if she was okay, if she needed help to get away from me because I was such a monster. I mean, this has happened. That is what the feminine weapons of violence are. And the reason that is because they lack the physical upper body strength that men have to actually be physically violent. So they use that. They use social things, shame, insult, guilt. You could develop that list out further. They'll try to destroy your reputation, you see. Like, for instance, a woman's dating some guy, whether he's a good guy or whether he's some jerk or some loser, some abuser. while she's with him, the sun will rise and set on his butthole. You can't say nothing against him. She'll can you. And she'll, if she has to, if he is a loser and she has to, she will make up lies about how great he is and smart he is. And I see on Facebook sometimes, some, especially young ladies, who they're dating or they're shacked up with. Sometimes, rarely, they're married to some guy that, at the very best, he's a dud. Like, it may not be a bad guy, like a drug addict or abuser or thug or nothing, but he ain't going nowhere in life. He's just happy he's got some woman that'll sleep with him, but you're like, man, that dude, I bet he can't put together a full sentence, man. Like that. From that spectrum all the way over to dudes that are just thugs, violent, worthless pieces of crap. You know, I see so many young ladies, some of them older too, unfortunately. I mean, like, how old do you have to get before you learn your lesson? But so many young ladies that are hooked up with these type dudes, but they'll be on Facebook with pictures of them when they done went to the beach, or, you know, they've had some kind of birthday party or something, and they'll put on there, oh, I love you so much, you know, George or Billy, or, well, nowadays it'd be like Connor or Tyler or something. Oh, I love you so much. You do so much for us. You take so good care of us. We're so lucky to have you. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has this experience. I'm sitting there and I'm reading this and I'm thinking, who the hell is she talking about? But you let them split up. Whether she leaves him or he leaves her, you let them split up. She don't say what a man would say or what a woman who thinks with a masculine mind would say. She doesn't say, well, I mean, we had our problems. Nobody's perfect. I made mistakes. He made mistakes. We tried to make it work. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I mean, he wasn't a bad dude. It's just there were problems we had that were just insurmountable. We couldn't get past it, and the relationship just fell apart, and we moved on. No, no, that ain't gonna happen. No, it seemed like 30 seconds after they break up, she gonna get on the phone and start calling and texting and posting on social media how that dude that the day before the sun rose and set in his ass, the day after, now that they done split up, he's 4 different kinds of sumbitch. And she will tell you everything about him, whether it's true or not, how he's just worthless and good for nothing and low down and a mama's boy. He, you know, had him a short little PP and had, you know, a problem. He was mostly impotent and coitus interruptus, and she was so bored. And oh man, she'll just go on and on about him, because that is the tool of feminine violence, character assassination, rumors, gossip, you know. Well, but I didn't say that. Well, you said such and such. Well, yeah, but I didn't say that. But that's what that meant when you said that. Well, no, that wasn't innuendo. They'll make little statements that lead you in a direction to understand something with a little bit of assumption, but they'll leave enough of a crack in the door to where if they ever have to hold up for what they lied about, they can sneak out through the window or they can slip out through the crack in the door. I said, well, that's not what I said. He misunderstood me. And then when you try to press them on it, they will apologize for you doing something. See, you see that little trickery? They'll apologize for something that you misunderstood. Well, I'm sorry that you misunderstood me, but that wasn't what I meant. You see, these are the weapons of female violence. And that's what homie here is doing. See, he posted this meme correlating Charlie Kirk and MLK, and he outright said that there wasn't any difference in the two. That's like saying there's no difference in me and Dwayne Johnson. Come on, man. That don't even make bad sense. So that's what the fool says here. Whatever you say, whenever somebody starts saying dumb stuff like that, whatever you say means I cannot disprove anything you just said. That's what they mean. Whatever you say, it seems you have it all figured out. You see how he's slipping off into them insults? You see that? That shame and the insults? Your opinionated song, got no idea what he means by a song, but for the record, folks, and Andy, there's absolutely nothing immoral about being opinionated. We need more people on this planet who are opinionated and they're willing to stand up for their opinionations. See, your sure has a racial twang to it, though. See there? See there? Now it's coming out with that shame. You shouldn't be like that. Good people don't criticize black people. That's racism. You should be a better person. It sure has a racial twang to it, but I digress. Never, and then he comes in with some sass, some of that feminine sassy sass. Never argue with someone who thinks they know it all, for they be a beach or whatever. It's just amazing. So at any rate, let me pull up this next one here. Where is it at? Where is it at? All right, there I am. Okay, y'all, I'm old. I'm old. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Stop rushing me. I'm old. I'm fat. I raised 5 kids, so my brain is, the little brain, and it's early. I'm awake though. I got plenty of sleep last night. Went to bed early. Well, I didn't go to bed early, but I went to bed at a decent hour. Got some good rest. The last couple of 3 nights. You can go back and look at my videos, and you see me. And I'm sitting there. And I'm just looking like I'm just stripped. My eyes are puffy, arms are heavy, mom's spaghetti. Like I would sit down to make a video and I say, well, I'm a little tired, but I'm gonna make a quick video. And that quick video would turn into a longer video. And then like one night I think it was night before last, I think it was, I was thinking, man, why am I so tired? I mean, I didn't sleep, but and the next morning I remembered that before Deidre went to bed, she came in here and gave me 2 little melatonin pills so I come to bed and go to sleep. So I was sitting there making a video. And Deidre give me some of that death medicine she gives me when she wants me to go to sleep. She had given me some of that melatonin. So I was sitting on the video, stoned on melatonin. For the record, melatonin does not stone you; it just makes you really sleepy. Here I am. Look how bright my blue eyes are. Look at my face. My skin tone is looking rather. What would they call it? I don't know. Radiant. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. I did take my Adderall this morning, so I'm remembering things a little bit better. But yeah, my skin tone is downright radiant. Yeah. Anyway, I'm awake. So this is what homie said right here. I can see you are upset about someone dismissing your argumentative rhetoric. You see, there's some more of that insult. Carry on. It's very entertaining. That was the last thing he said. And that's why I decided, instead of responding to him in text, I'm just going to make a video. Whatever. So, for the record, Andy and anyone else, nothing, absolutely nothing is too upsetting for me on the internet. The only way to actually undo or unnerve or upset Big Daddy is for you to do something physically, like directly, to injure or harm my wife, my children, and a few people that are in that little group that you could call loved ones. And it has to be something that actually tangibly affects them. I'm grown. The tools of female violence do not bother me whatsoever. Andykin, they don't. You say what you want about me. You can disagree with me. I can see you're upset about someone dismissing your argumentative rhetoric. That tells me right there, my realtor friend Tabitha Huber is texting me. I will have to get back to her when I'm finished with my video. Anyway, so that tells me right there that this Andy guy is a newcomer to the worldwide mission of dangness. Because if he wasn't, then he would know that someone dismissing your argumentative rhetoric it just really blows my skirt up. And that's a big skirt. Okay, it really blows my skirt up. It gets me all warm and fuzzy. I start salivating. I am so happy. When someone disagrees or no dismissing your argumentative rhetoric, I'm just like, oh, happy day. I'm ready to go. So no, Andy, if you can, I would really like you to stop using the feminine forms of violence, tools of violence, of dodging and ducking the actual claims that you're making. See? And instead of dismissing your argumentative rhetoric, instead of doing that, step up like a man. I see over there on your Facebook, Andykins, Andisha. I see over there this picture over here. I'm looking at you right now. Your oh my goodness, your Facebook profile picture here with your little straw fedora on. I didn't realize that was a fedora when I looked at it the other day, or I would have been a lot more prepared for this femininity that I'm getting from you. But I see you there all posed up with a selfie with. I'm assuming that's Miss Andy. I guess so. It's some more pictures there of you. So yeah, I see that. Yeah, so there's that woman keeps appearing in your picture. So I'm gonna. Oh yeah, Nancy Kitchens. Yeah, Andy's Kitchens. I guess Kitchens is your last name. Instead of Corner. Yeah, Nancy Kitchens. So I see you with Nancy there. Let me see here. Do a little. I don't do this a whole bunch. Just going and stalking people on their Facebook, but I want to make sure I don't say. You see, as I was saying earlier, I am very careful to make sure the things that I say are actually true and correct, and they're not just based on rumors and emotions. So, oh yeah, so you've been married since 2015. So I'm assuming by all that gray hair you have, this is maybe a second marriage. So you've been married 10 years, so you're still a newcomer on your honeymoon. So that's good. So the reason I was checking that is to make sure that I wasn't dealing with someone who, didn't like someone who was LBGT. I'm just gonna be honest with you, and I'm not saying that to insult you. I'm just saying I wanted to make sure that I was dealing with a heterosexual man. You see, that that would be expected to think in the masculine. That's what I'm getting at. So please don't misquote me. Anyway, so what I would like to see you do is reach over there in Miss Nancy's purse, pull out that purple Crown Royal bag, undo the drawstring, reach in and pull out your testicles. See, and at least put them in your pocket. I would say, I don't know, get out some Gorilla Glue or something. See, get them testicles back. Stand up like a man. Assemble an argument. And when I say argument, I don't mean a bicker fest. Uh-huh. Well, this is how I feel. Well, this is how I feel. Well, you feel wrong. No, you feel wrong. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about assemble an actually structured argument to support your claim that there's no difference between MLK, ideologically speaking, and Charlie Kirk. I am happy, absolutely happy. I'm serious. I am looking forward to hearing you objectively, logically construct an argument to defend that claim. I mean, it's out of this world. It's out of this world. So, but my main purpose in this little video, Andykins, Andykin Skywalker. That's what I'm gonna start calling you. Yeah, Andykin Skywalker. I'm not even a Star Wars fan. I think people who are Star Wars fans are kind of odd, but that's just my own personal opinion, and I have a lot of them. Well, you know that because you called me opinionated. I take that as a compliment, by the way. But yeah, so Andy, please, instead of trying to tell me what you see about my emotional state, which is just another very feminine expression, when you start trying to when a man starts trying to a person starts just trying to describe the emotional state of someone else that they're involved in an argument with, instead of simply presenting their evidence to defend their own argument or defeat the other guy's argument, but instead they want to say, well, I can see you're upset by this. Well, I can see I must have hit a nerve because you're angry, and that kind of bull crap. That's femininity right there. That's the tools of violence of women. That's just what it is. So yeah, Andy, get back with me, Andy. I'm gonna get out here. Wish me luck, man. I'm gonna get out here. I gotta jack the truck way up to get all of this gut under there. But I gotta drop this front tank on this truck again. My son's working overtime today, so he can't be here to help me pull that bed off the pickup truck. Makes it so much easier. So I'm gonna be dropping that tank. The repair shouldn't be real difficult, but getting that tank out is gonna be a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna be out there doing that, man. So you got plenty of time, man. I mean, do your research, man. I mean, but put me an argument together, bro. I am looking forward to you. Looking forward to it. I am happy to engage with you. Because, I mean, the reason I do this is not your people accuse me, well, you just think you're right about everything, which is true. I do. I think I'm right about everything. But so do you. And so do they. Everyone on the planet thinks they're right about everything. Because if they didn't, then that would mean that they had a mental disorder, because they would be holding a belief in their head that they already believed was wrong. Why would you believe something? I mean, to believe it means that it's true, right? So why would you believe something? How would you do that even without being crazy? How would you believe a fact, something you thought was a fact, and at the same time you knew that it was untrue? Well, I believe that. Really? Is it true? No. Well, if so, you don't believe it. No, I believe it. But you just said it was untrue. It is untrue. Then you don't believe it? No, I believe it. I believe it 100%. So you believe it's true? No, it's untrue. Who the hell does that? So everyone on the planet believes they are right about everything. But people will accuse me of that when they can't overcome my argument. Well, you just think you're right about everything. Well, yeah, hope so. But I am very open to being explained how I'm wrong. But you can't use your feelings. You can't use your feelings. Because I really don't give a damn about your feelings there, Andy. Okay? All right. I'm Dane.